Hello, my amazing first grade artists. I hope you had a wonderful and relaxing spring break, my friends. This week we are going to be finishing up our cave art that we started before break, my friends. Now, last time we did our rock background by ripping, crumpling, and adding more colors to make our rock look dirty and realistic. Today, we're going to be focusing on adding our animals, and if you want to and have parent permission to do so at home, we will also be painting our hand on, my friends. Now, I did want to make a note about our learning target artists. We are creating cave art, but because we are virtual this year, our second learning target about drawing from observation, looking at these animals and drawing them, I didn't think was going to be possible with the amount of time that we have. So that is why we are not drawing our animals ourselves this year, unless you would like to try drawing your animals yourself, my friends. You are always welcome to do so. Otherwise, let's go take a look at what art materials we need to finish up our art project today. Now again, my friends, if you do not want to paint your hand today, or you don't have permission to do so, you will not need any paint or water. However, if you do want to paint your hand today and you have permission, you can use either your watercolor paint set in water, or if you still have some of that white paint left over from the fall, you can use that, or any other paint that you have at home in these colors, my friends. Again, these are the colors that we are using for our cave art. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my art folder and pull out my animals that I have in there, as well as my rock paper, my friends. Today, instead of using these colors on my rock paper, I'm going to use them to color in some of my animals. Now, I personally like to pick about 3, but on our paper today, my friends, we might only be able to fit 2. So it's all right with me if you only color 2, but please look at both sides for the different animals that there are before you begin coloring, my friends. And I do want them to look kind of realistic using these more natural colors. I, as always, am going to speed up this step a little bit so you can see how they should look when they're all colored in. But again, if you need to pause the video here to do your coloring, please do so. Here's how I went ahead and colored the 2 animals that I picked. And if you notice, friends, I kind of used more than just one color, as well as I made some areas that were dark and light to make my animals more interesting to look at. Because just using one color and pushing the same, whether it's hard or light, doesn't always make the most interesting coloring. So try blending by using more than one color, and try making some areas that are light and some areas that are darker on your animals as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and start cutting my animals out, but once again, these are some tough animals to cut out, my friends. So you remember when we did our Greek vases, how we colored around the picture first and then cut it out? That's why we need some gray as well today, my friends, to kind of match our gray paper. So one last thing I'm going to do is just go around my animals a little bit, adding some gray. That way I can cut around the shape and not on the black line. I can even add lightly some of the other colors that I added, like some browns, maybe some black. But again, I want to do this part light so that way it will match my paper. Don't do it really, really dark right away, my friends. Remember, you can always add more color later. You can't take the color away though. So now that I have some color around my animals, I can go ahead and cut around them. And again, I'm going to speed up this step for you, friends, so that way you don't have to watch me cutting slowly, okay? So here I go. So time to add my 2 animals to my painting. And I want to be thinking right now, if I do decide to paint my hand, where's the best place to put them? So maybe putting them on top of each other might be the best option. Or if you do have a little bit of a smaller hand, like I'm sure most of you friends do compared to Miss Greathead, you could also maybe put them next to each other like this. So start thinking about where everything is going to go and lay things down first before you glue. So I think I will go ahead and do mine like this. So I have my hand on one side and I have my two animals on the other. As always, you can use glue stick or glue bottle, whatever you have and you would like to use today, my friends. I'll go around with my dots of glue and stick my animal down. Now again, the paper around my animals, if it doesn't quite match, I can add a little bit more color now that it's on there. And I can make it a little bit darker so that way it looks closer to what it should. Again, this step is important to do in crayon, my friends, because you want to be gentle on your paper and because if you used a little bit too much glue, sometimes the glue can come out on your crayon and that would not be good for a marker. So time to paint my hand now, friends. And again, this is a completely optional step. So if you are done and your animals are on your paper and you don't want to paint your hand, you can go ahead and just turn in a picture on Seesaw. Or we need to get our hands ready. Make sure that our sleeves are pushed up. There's nothing on our hands. And we can go ahead and open up our paint set today, my friends. Again, if you have a different type of paint, like a liquid paint to use, that's okay. But today, friends, please, again, think about the colors that we are using. For instance, two good colors to use might be white and black because we haven't used those, or even brown or red. I, however, am out of red, so that is not the color that I will be using. Again, please try not to use some of the other brighter colors because they won't match our cave art. So I'm going to go ahead, I think I'm going to do black today. And I'm going to start by swirling some water in my black, getting my black going. I can see already in my water that, yep, my black is starting to go. Now it's time to start painting my hand. And I want to actually fill up my hand as much as I can with that paint. It's going to kind of tickle a little bit, my friends. But take your time. Try to go all the way down your fingers. Again, make sure you have parent permission before you do this. Maybe even put down some paper towel if you need to. And you'll know you're doing it right if your whole hand feels wet and cold. If any parts of your hand start to dry out, you'll need to add more water, my friends. Make sure you go all the way down your fingertips. You don't obviously need to do the back of your hand, right? Because we're not painting that side today. Try to make a nice flat hand and try to get all the different parts. Again, your whole hand should feel cold and wet. I'm even going to go ahead and add a little bit more water to mine to make sure it's a really good print. Normally in the art room, we would use liquid paint for this step, and you would use a sponge to put it on. All right, I'm even going to add a little bit more, even mix my fingers around with it. And now when I'm ready, again, should feel very wet. Some areas do feel dry, add a little bit more there, right? I'll go ahead, line up my hand, and set it down. And I want to use my other hand that's nice and clean to kind of push. Make sure I get all the way down each finger. And my palm. When you lift up, make sure you hold your paper down with that clean hand and lift your hand carefully up, my friends. There's my handprint today. Now, if you don't get it the first time, you can add more paint, my friends, and try lining it up again by lining up your fingers first and then setting your hand down, but don't try it more than 2 times, otherwise your handprint might just mess up your whole artwork, okay? So try your best again, optional step. I'm gonna go wash up my hand real quickly, and then we're gonna talk about homework and what's gonna happen next week, artists. All right, friends, so please make sure you turn in a photo of your finished cave art on Seesaw, and I need you to also pack up some art supplies if you are one of my friends who will be starting 4-day-a-week art in the art room with me starting next week, my friends. Next week, I will no longer be virtual for all hybrid students. And I need you to be able to bring in 2 things for me, my friends. The first is, of course, your watercolor paint set and your blue paintbrush pen. Those 2 things need to come back to school, please, with you, so that way we can continue using them here in the art room, okay? You do not need to bring your 3rd quarter art folder because each one of you will get your new 4th quarter art folder when you come visit the art room for the first time. I'll be so excited to see you friends in person. I cannot wait. And for now, I'll go ahead and say my goodbye. And as always, have fun creating, my friends.